Vasudev, my voice is audible?
Yes, sir, your voice is audible. I'm audible?
Okay. Okay, you are audible. Vasudev, you can start.
Yes, sure. So, yeah, hi, everyone. Good evening. And yeah, I would like to introduce myself first. Let me know if I'm inaudible if at any point of time. So, yeah, I have passed out from Trident Academy of Technology in Computer Science branch from on 2018, and after passing from college, I got placement in Mindtree. So I am from Jamshedpur, Jharkhand, basically, and after completing my BTech, I have started working in Mindtree. I have done my training from Bhubaneswar itself, the InfoCity, near to that InfoCity, and after doing 3 months of training over there, I have worked in campus in Bangalore for around 5 6 months. From there, over there in my Mindtree campus, Mindtree days, I have worked there as a database administrator kind of task job I was doing over there. And after 8 months, I got a nice opportunity in another company, security based company, Sonic Wall Private Limited, which is also in Bangalore. It's a US based company, cyber security and firewall based company. So for around close to 3 years and as a front end developer. So and after working there for 3 years, I have again worked for 1.5 year in one of the Amazon backed startup fintech company, which is currently named as XGO. So I worked there as a React developer for around 1.5 year. And in 2023, I have switched to Walmart. Currently, from last 2 years, I have been working here as a front end developer, and I also contribute as a in backend for Java, but mostly it's front end heavy right now. And yeah, that's pretty much it as for me. And like I have a total experience of around 6 years, mostly in a front end technologies. So currently, yeah, I am here to talk about DSA, right? So coming into DSA, so I'll talk about the interview process in most of the companies. So first, I'll talk about the interview process in Walmart. So in Walmart, I had around 4 rounds of interviews. So out of which the first round was DSA based. So actually, in every company, if you see the tech product top product based company, in all the companies, at least 1 or 2 round will be DSA. It doesn't matter if you are a front end developer or a database or a Java developer or a backend developer. So you will be you have to go through that process of DSA. So that is the reason why it is like everyone talks about DSA. That is the main reason too. So it's like a key to get into the top product based company in the current scenario. Like and so yeah, so coming into the DSA, what worked for me, I would like to tell about you to you guys. So what worked for me is I have started with Geeks for Geeks. I started from Geeks for Geeks basically, and like I got to know about like in college days we used to work on along with Rahul sir. Yeah, we used to work on some small DSA, easy DSA questions which we used to ask which interview you used to ask in interview. But later on in as the experience increased, the level of question became harder and medium based question they used to ask. So for that I need to switch again while after the in the first switch itself I realized like after failing miserably in 1 or 2 interviews I got to know that I have to learn DSA. There is no second option for that. Okay, so I have started from there are lots of good resources out there. I think everyone knows with so much access to internet nowadays. I think everyone knows from where to study the DSA and all. So what the my journey was started from Geeks for Geeks. Like most of the student nowadays, I think. And so coming into the Geeks for Gigs, what worked for me is like what I have done is I have divided the this thing. I mean the topics for DSA. So the topics for DSA varies a lot, starting from simple array question to dynamic programming to graphs. A lot of questions are there. So like in each of the topic, you could find easy level question, medium level question, or hard level question. So what my approach, the approach which worked for me is starting from easy level question. So I've started from easy level question. If you directly jump into the hard level, it won't work. Like the journey won't be smooth for learning the DSA, I would say. So start with the easy questions. Let's say start with array and try to cover from easy to hard questions in that topic. Take questions from anywhere. I think every website or GeekForGeeks, LeetCode or Codeforce, any place you can take the questions from and try to solve it by your own. And so what I did is I kept some time limit for every questions. Okay, I didn't dig deeper. Like I didn't bang my head for 1 year, 1 hour, 2 years, in 2 hour in one question. I kept the timer with myself, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, like that, based on the complexity of the question. And what worked for me is having the timer really focusing on the question problem statement. So just before this call, I have jotted down like how I used to approach the TSA problems. Okay, so how I used to do. So the first is, I mean, the first problem which I faced in the interview was not getting the clear idea of the question and directly jumping into the solution. So for that, later I corrected myself and I gave some time to it. And whenever the interview happened, I make sure there is a clarity in the problem. So whatever problem you have to got to read it from starting to end, understand the problem, and to get the clarity of the problem right, you need to see in a way like you have to see the data. Let's say the problem, how you can get the more clarity about the problem. So the more clarity you will get from the, let's say you have to ask yourself or the interviewer what kind of data types, the input types you have. So first thing, the type of data type. Then you have to see what are the bound values. Bound values as in, if let's say input is I, okay, let's say input is an array, and you have to see what are the possible range of the values of the array. It could be anything, right? So your problem based, your solution would be should be based on that. Let's say there is a constraint of the elements won't be negative, so your problem statement should not cover that. If it is explicitly asked that the constraint like that the array elements would be positive itself only, then you have to solve it. So that is the first thing. And second thing is you have to see the order. You have to find some pattern in the, sorry, you have to find some pattern in the input. And that is one thing. Order, let's say if array, let's say example of an array, sorting, searching in an array, let's say. You have to find the order. You have to ask the interviewer. For most of the interview, the problem itself is not, they make the problem in such a way that it's not clear. You have to ask the interview the question, is the array sorted or not? If an array is sorted, you have to apply the binary search, right? If it's not an sorted array, then you have to apply the linear search. That is the basic. So these are the basic mistake which earlier I used to do, which you guys should not do. And the second thing what worked for me is, while clarifying the problem, is coming with up with an interesting solution examples. You have to do and hit and try for this input, what would be the expected output of this problem statement. So that is another part. And you have to find the correct and expected answer for each of the input whatever you are giving. And then you have to verify that is the expected for this input, this is the expected output. You have to verify, you got to verify that with interviewer if you have time. And the second thing is, what I didn't directly jumped in optimized solution. I first tried to solve it in a brute force way. And if I'm directly, like first time I'm seeing the problem, then I try to solve it in a brute force as in you have to brute force as in you have to, that is the like naive problem. Let's say what naive solution I could give to you. Brute force as in like you don't care about the complexity of the problem, like time complexity and the space complexity, and you just try to solve the problem itself. That is the one thing. And after that, one second. Yeah. So that is the second thing. First, verify the problem. The second thing is brute force. Try to come up with a brute force solution to a problem. Once you are done with that, half of the problem is solved. The third thing you have to do is the make observation in the problem. Observation as in how could you optimize the brute force solution to an optimized way? Because there are very high chances the brute force solution is not the optimized solution. You got to find the pattern in that solution. There must be some pattern hidden. You have to, that pattern you could find out by solving more and more problem on everyday basis, day to day. So that's how it worked for me. And the third thing is, after finding the pattern into the brute force solution, it's 100% sure that you'll find the optimized solution to that problem. So that's the sequence of a step which I followed to solve any DSA problem, whatever I faced in an interview, except the like. So there it happens sometimes, like there are some problems which you have already solved it, and you got the same question the uh, interview, but there are chances that you will find some questions for the first time. You'll see those questions for the first time in your life in that interview itself. So that is the approach which I followed if I see the solution for the first time. And the second thing is, if you know the solution, then you have to just you could directly jump to the optimal solution and optimize it for the interviewer. So that's how I approached the DSA problems. That is one thing. And what else? Yeah. So coming into the tech-based companies, so and I think nowadays every tech-based company, whether it is Microsoft, Uber, Google, even Walmart, Ola, and Intuit, Atlassian, the top tech companies, every other organization asks those questions, and it's not like only to restricted to the interview, I would say. So these DSA problems help you think in a better way, which will like gradually these DSA questions, I won't say like 100% of them, but at least 70 to 80% of them will make you a better engineer. And in when you work in any tech companies, right? So you will find in day to day, not I would say in day to day, but once in a while you will find some problem which requires heavy DSA, and that is the time when you have to show your this DSA skills there. And it is said that like DSA is only asked in the interviews, and it doesn't work in the tech companies. But I would say like, yeah, that is also true kind of, but I would say like, yeah, these at least basic DSA is necessary to work in a any scalable product. If you want to make the product scalable, then you got to work on these. You got to learn the DSA. It helps you think in that kind of way, like how you could make this solution optimal, how you could write in such a way that it is scalable to many users. So let's say you have 100 users right now, but your this thing. I mean, let's say you have 100 users right now. You have written some very bad logic in your code base, and you have pushed it to production, and it works. It works really good in 100 users. Let's say after or a one after 2 months, 3 months, the user base would increase. Let's say it's a million of users. Then your server won't be able to process that in a optimal way. Then you got to rewrite the code. But if you have used it in a first iteration itself, then it won't require to rewrite the code itself, right? So you got to, what I want to say is like, let's say example of, let's say you have a uh, product list of around 2000 array of like which 2000 products are there, let's say. And what you are doing is currently for filtering it out, you are let's say optimal solution will help you to loop that 1000 list in one iteration itself, but you are doing it in 2 or 3 iterations. That would make your system slow, right? So that's how it works in UI. So every millisecond matters in UI. So with the I'm talking about from UI perspective, like how DSA helped in UI. So yeah, every millisecond work so helps in the make your page optimal, and that adds a really value to your career as well as the company growth. So that thing I would say, and that is one thing. And what else? Yeah, real world applications, right? So real world application, there are lots of application. So what I was thinking before the this call, I was thinking about what are the real world application of DSA. So there are a lot. There are a lot of, but I was able to think of some applications like, if you see the web browsers, right? So web browsers have that navigation of going backward and forward. So on click of back, you go back, on click of forward. That's a classic example of stack, how stack works, right? That is a last in first out kind of implementation, if you think about it. So that is one of the thing. And the other thing which I have been working on lately is like the type ahead. If you see in the UI, if you see in the Google itself also, right? You type something and some suggestion comes up. Not in the bottom, in the same text box, the suggestion comes up. That is a classic example of tries data structure. So you guys can Google it up, like what is try data structure. It's a really good data structure, I would say. Like I didn't know about it lately, but recently I got to know about it. So it's a really good data structure, which help a lot of things here in Walmart, for me at least. So that is some of the thing. But and if you go to this deeper into UI, right? So internally, if you see React, it uses a lot of data structure for optimizing the web pages, I would say. So I won't go deeper into that, but I'm just selling like React has that reconciliation algorithm. So that is a classic example of tree-based comparison. So basically, HTML pages are nothing but a tree kind of DOM structure. It's a tree basically. So how UI internally, so outers we are using, everyone uses React in a shallow way. But if you go deeper, you if you read the documentation and all, you will find out that how the DOM is printed, how the update is being done over there. So it's a classic example. Like if you go deeper, you will get a chance to work on the React someday, let's say. And that is the really that would be really helpful to for you guys. Like so, yeah, there are a lot of things I would say which help me as a developer, as a software engineer, to excel in my career. I think, and yeah, these are a couple of things which I wanted to tell you. And what else? Uh, mm, I have written down something. That's all advice maximum. So I think I pretty much covered like whatever I know. I have tried to convey to you guys. And one more thing I wanted to tell, like since you are in final and pre-final year, right? So recently I didn't know about so much about ATS score. Every resume has some ATS scores. Okay, I didn't know. I got to know about from one of my friend who works in Walmart as well. So how you guys create resume is like normal Word documents and everything, right? So there is a website called Resume Builder or Career. I don't exactly remember the name, but maybe I'll share you later with you guys later. So actually, that resume will help you to create a you got to write code for that your resume. You got to little bit learning you have to do from that. That's a different kind of code, and you got to learn how to write the resume. Once you create the resume using that thing, right? And if you have perfectly used some keywords and all with you, that really helps to get your resume shortlisted in any of the big tech companies. So once I have done that, that thing for my own resume, I have two times I have applied for Microsoft, and each of the time my resume got shortlisted. Okay, so yeah, so I would suggest everyone to create the your resume from that ATS website. It's a free open source website. Maybe I'll share the link with you guys. So that is quite helpful. And yeah, that is the thing.